All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is, again, we talked about this last week. We had a little bit of a crazy month, but we are back on schedule for today. Hopefully, as long as I don't die. That's always a possibility, but theoretically, this should be a pretty normal podcast about a week from the last podcast. So how cool is that? I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Tim Baker. Daniel's giving me
John
energy
Stuart.
today.
And John Stuart.
I'm sorry, I'm stepping all over John. Daniel gave me so much energy. He's just talking about not dying and shit like that. Just inspires me, Daniel. Thank you.
Yeah, Tim gets in. The darker you are, the more inspired Tim gets. This is the You, Me, and BTC podcast. We have, hey, I'm remembering to do teasers today. How cool is that? We're going to talk about, oh crap, this is a huge thing that we haven't even gotten to yet. Normally, whenever there's huge things in the Bitcoin world, we beat them to death, and that's all we cover for a month or two or three. But this one, we're kind of delayed on.
We never go beyond our bounds. We always give it to the exact amount that it needs to be.
Yeah. We only beat it to death if it deserves to be beat to death. I mean, we talk about the important things, and if they're important, we talk about them a lot. You're right. But up for today is, of course, as you might expect, the DAO. It's, holy crap, the Ethereum, it's based on Ethereum, not Bitcoin. But, it's, if you've been listening, you know by now that we don't just talk about Bitcoin, so there it is. Yeah, the DAO, or the DAO, Distributed Autonomous Organization, and we will summarize it a little bit for anyone that might not know about it. And it's been hacked lately. Again, it's been this huge story, so you probably know about it, but we'll touch on it, how it was hacked, and how people are trying to solve the problem. I don't know, we might even get around to talking about time travel, which is a serious consideration in this story. So that's all coming up. But first, I have two things I want to tell you about first. Number one is our garb store. We don't sell merch. Everyone sells merch, but we sell garb. YMB garb, You, Me, and BTC garb, whatever you want to call it. And actually, it's at the moment, none of it's even branded for YMB. It's just some funny shirts. We have the Bitcoin logo. We have a Make Bitcoin Great Again t-shirt. And it's on a ball cap that's on a t-shirt. I mean, how cool is that?
Oh, it's crazy. And actually what Daniel meant to say is that we've actually printed plenty of these already because we know you guys are going to buy them. I've been wearing them around all day. I wore them at my job. Everybody complimented me on them. So if you also
all the professional people that you work with.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna wear that and you're gonna get one of Daniel's new swoosh like soccer player douchebag haircuts, and then you're just
it comes with the t-shirt.
Quote unquote, his barber says you're going to be getting all the pussy all day. It was not really a quote; it was more like a paraphrase, but you got it anyway.
That's one of the phrases, the incorrect phrases that makes me laugh the most. Quote unquote.
But quote unquote.
I think the normal way is the right way is to say quote, and then you say a bunch of words, and when you're done with the quote,
unquote.
Then you say unquote. There might be a situation where people say quote in quote, like if they're quoting someone, and then there's a quote in that quote.
Why would someone tell you that? Like, wait, in this quote, I'm about to be like quote in quote. This guy's quoting this other guy.
No, I mean,
I don't know. I feel like it's supposed to be used the way it is.
You think it's supposed to be quote unquote is just like what you say before you quote someone?
Quote unquote. Well, people don't say that when they're quoting someone. They say it when they say like a term or like one word thing. I've never heard somebody say quote unquote and then say a whole sentence.
Okay, I get that.
Don't they normally do it as like an ironic thing?
Yeah. Ironically, it's like air
it's
quotes.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. I could see that. But
because it's like, why would you say quote and then say one word and then be like end quote?
Yeah, no, you'd have to say multiple words.
I don't even know what the term is. Like, are people saying quote unquote? Are they saying quote end quote? Are they saying quote in quote? I don't know. I've said quote too many times now, so we're going to move on. The point is,
if you guys want to tell us what it is, please just join in on Twitter. Message us, tweet us at You, Me, and BTC. send us questions and
Yeah.
answers to questions like this.
Do that.
As we hit
Do
the hard issues every single goddamn week, we're here
Tim,
for you.
all right,
people.
we already told him how great we are. Calm down. All right, so
I just can't
get
wait to get it out.
ymb.tc/garb, and yeah, check out the t-shirts. We have Mr. Krabs with like super excited, wide open eyes, but instead of money signs in his eyes, he has Bitcoin signs in his eyes. So yeah, go look up our designs. We're going to be adding more.
I don't endorse that T-shirt.
That T-shirt.
That T-shirt. I hate that T-shirt.
Just
for everybody to know.
We'll be adding more, and if you have any ideas for designs or anything, also let us know. But that's all at umeandbtc.com/garb, or the short link is ymb.tc/garb, or it will be once I add that redirect, which it should be there by the time this show comes out. All right, announcement number 2. This is great. We're 6 minutes in, and we've only covered one announcement.
Hey, at least we introduced ourselves this time.
True. Announcement number 2 is about Ian Freeman from Free Talk Live. It's a Liberty news show, news and opinion, all kinds of stuff. A Liberty radio show that's every single night. This has always kind of shocked me, and it's great. But they do every single night, Sunday to Saturday, Monday to Sunday, however you want to call it. Every single night they do 3 hours of Liberty radio content, and it's on, I think, over 100 radio stations. So anyway, Ian Freeman, one of the main hosts there, and he runs the whole network, LRN.FM, which has 24/7 Liberty content, and our show goes out there. He's going to be joining us sometime over the next few weeks, probably 2 or 3 weeks from now, maybe next week, and to talk about a fundraiser that they're running to try to get on their network on satellite in Europe, and that includes our show. So we want this to happen. We're already on satellite in North America and Africa, but let's get on Europe too. Why the heck not? So he's going to be joining us to chat about this fundraiser. It's at fund.lrn.fm. fund.lrn.fm. And they're trying to raise, I think, $25,000. I mean, satellites aren't cheap. They giant computers that whiz around in space. I don't think we expect them to be cheap. And they're raising money for that. And hey, check this out. One of the perks is that you could sit in with one of the LRN.FM shows, which of course includes you, me, and BTC. So if you donate a certain amount, you can come and visit us, either location, Phoenix, Arizona, or actually, I don't know, I didn't ask you guys yet. Would you guys mind if someone sat in near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a show?
I mean, this sit-in is like actually present?
Yeah, on location, right.
Okay, because when you said it, I thought it was just Skype.
We don't deal well with people in real life.
When would it be?
I'm sure you could just work out a time whenever.
No, I mean like month.
The fundraiser ends in 2 months, so maybe within 3 months, maybe 4.
I'm gonna be moving, so I don't know. It's possible, but
no, you should completely just mess up your life. As you transition, definitely to have someone sit there and stare at you while you talk to a podcast.
Exactly. Well, hey,
but no,
at any rate,
do that. And yeah, satellites are very expensive. Daniel, what we should do is just put more advertising. I don't know how you do it, but specifically just target the Europeans. Show like pictures of immigrants or something, and then say we love them, and then send it to Europe so that we get listeners. But yeah, the satellite is cool. The good thing about the satellite is just because people would just be flipping through stuff and there's always that chance they accidentally hit your channel if they wouldn't normally, and then they hear really just again how amazing our American voices sound. Then we suddenly get a bunch of Swedish fans, and even if they are all 30-year-old guys who whatever, I'll still imagine they're nice, young, hot blondes. So anyway, help us with that.
I'm not sure how well I followed your immigrant joke or whatever, but yeah, we're all for this. And they talk about that, what you just said, how on the Indiegogo page, they say like, hey, we want this because people are just going to be flipping through the satellite channels, and it's free to air. They don't have to pay a subscription or anything. They can just get a satellite dish and get this radio channel. And they're just saying they might be found.
How does that work over? Like, that'd be terrestrial radio over there, or it has to be satellite. So, but that
they get a satellite dish.
Okay.
They get a dish and they can just connect.
I just don't know what it's like over in Europe. Is Sirius and that stuff, is that like worldwide, or is that just United States? That's worldwide?
Oh, like XM radio? I don't know. Sure, it probably is. I don't know.
Okay.
But no, that's another thing they talk about heavily on the Indiegogo page is like in America, I mean, do we know anyone that gets satellite that uses free to air satellite radio? Not really. I mean, if you're going to use satellite radio, it's going to be Sirius XM. But in places like Africa and some places in Europe, tons of people use satellite, and they get free to air TV and free to air radio or whatever. And in some places, it's even more valuable because they don't get internet. They have this story about this guy in Africa that doesn't get internet, but he gets LRN.FM on his satellite. I've been to Africa, and it's true. You drive around, everyone has satellite dishes hanging out their window. It's funny because you'll drive by a building with, obviously it depends on location, but where I was, I would drive by some like apartment maybe buildings, and there would be like 15 satellites on one side of the building. It's like, well, you guys probably could have combined that into one, but whatever. Okay, all right. That's at fund.lrn.fm. Donate. You can come sit in on a show in Phoenix, Arizona, or I'll probably convince Tim or John to let it happen. Just let it happen, guys. All right. So maybe Pittsburgh will be an option, but go check that out.
Yes, Pittsburgh's an option.
So I'm showing about 12 minutes now, so I guess that's how it works for us. We just about 6 minutes per random plug and some random banter, and that's what it takes.
I'm just trying to keep the formula going, man.
Yeah, so here we are. Here's what I want to do now for introducing this DAO stuff. It's kind of funny, isn't the DAO something you worship, or isn't it a religion or something? Aren't there Taoists?
Yeah.
It's spelled with a T, but...
Is it always? I think that's something else.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, in this situation, it's a distributed autonomous organization, a really fancy smart contract. Now, I know that out of the three of us, none of us have followed this a ton, step by step. None of us are invested in this. I was tempted before the hack. I was pretty tempted to invest in it. Obviously, now I'm glad I didn't. But even though none of us has followed this a ton, as much as some of the enthusiasts out there have, we're still going to try and summarize it and hit the high points, a big high level overview, I guess. And I'm going to see if Tim can do it. I don't know how much you know, Tim. If you have to ask a question, ask it, and I'll answer it, or John will answer it, or we'll look it up. But just because I feel like I've talked too much already, I'm going to let you kick things off, Tim, and give us a summary of what the DAO is and what's going on with this hack. So, yeah, go for it.
Well, mostly I'm going to go off of what Daniel told me earlier. Or at least
no, I didn't tell you anything. No, you're an expert. You looked all this up. You actually created the DAO, so this is all going to be perfect.
No, yeah, actually, I'm actually the dude who hacked it, so I'll tell you guys exactly how I did it. The DAO stands for Distributed Autonomous Organization, where people, they put in money, or they put in... It's connected to the Ethereum project, so they put in Ether, and they use that, and they spend that inside the DAO as a way to vote on things, a way to vote where their money goes. I guess it's kind of like could this kind of be like a corporation? That's the point. Yeah,
that's exactly what it is, yeah.
Okay,
or an organization. It's a group of people that have a certain kind of governing contract or system, yeah.
Okay. Yes. So as I said before, they put the money in together and they make decisions on that by spending the currency inside of the DAO to make decisions where they're going to put their money, what they're going to do. I guess.
Yeah.
Is there some kind of a form of? Is there any kind of a hierarchy there, or is it completely distributed?
Well, okay, that's a good question. And I don't know all the details, but I asked this question a few days ago on the Bitcoin News Show, which I do every other week sometimes, and we post it on our site. But I because I wasn't an expert on it, and we were talking about the DAO, I was asking, what are there people that hold the money and that have control over the money once I put it in the DAO, or who's in charge there? And the answer they gave was that it mostly is distributed. I mean, there are smart contracts involved, and if you vote, then your money should pretty much do what you vote for it to do. The only caveat is like there is a group of people that the creators that, or maybe some other important people that have access. They have multi-sig access to the funds, so it's distributed, or maybe not the funds, but to the actual DAO contract. The DAO is just an address on Ethereum that contains a smart contract, and I guess they must have multi-sig access to this contract. Again, don't quote me on all that. Don't quote unquote me on all that. But yeah, the point is there are some people that are kind of in charge, and they make the final decisions about like what proposals actually go to vote, and they try to filter out just pointless things. That's what I've been told. So yeah, that's the hierarchy there is. But there is multi-sig involved, which helps. It's not like there's just one or two people that can be like, well, let's just run away with all this money. Theoretically, that shouldn't be possible. And
that's always how it should be. Yes.
And the smart contracts too help keep things in check as well. So.
Well, they're supposed to.
Right.
I'm looking at a few articles where people are talking about how they've been warning about the DAO, about it solely relying on smart contracts. But anyway, there's a problem in the code somewhere where you're splitting. I didn't really follow you before when we were talking about it, Daniel, but
I'll pick it up here, or I'll turn it over. I want John to see if he can explain the programming part of it. But I'll pick up a little bit here. One more thing that I want to say before we get into the hack is kind of the purpose of the DAO. It's not just about putting your money in a big pile and throwing it at people. The idea was that we can vote on spending this money on certain kinds of innovation or projects that are building, that are helping develop Ethereum or helping develop different cryptocurrencies. The idea is that we can spend this money on. We can invest it. Yeah. It's not just spending it, but it's investing it, and you would get returns on the projects that you helped fund. So they would just invest in companies and other organizations and get returns on the investment. Eventually, is kind of the idea.
Okay. Can I? Go aside. Okay. This is a corporation. Couldn't this kind of be like an answer to that, like people talk about one of their examples for why free market won't work or something like that, and why you need a government to control some part of the economy is that an antibiotic needs to be, like, if an antibiotic needs to be developed, there's not really that much, like in the current world, there's not that much of a market, like, demand for it, because we have a bunch that kind of like, you've never heard this before?
No. Enlighten me.
Okay. It's because, like, antibiotics are they're running out of them, but at the same time, we don't really, no one's putting any money into developing new ones, because an antibiotic is you take it once and then you're done. You don't, like, people don't spend a lot of money on them. I don't know why. I don't know why they're not more expensive. But, like, whenever you get the antibiotics, it's not like you're on it for a couple months, at least not normally. Most people take it for like 2 days and it kills things. So it's not really, it doesn't really sell very well. So it's like most companies don't make antibiotics. They make daily, well, no, they're running out of antibiotics that actually work anymore, partly just because people take it for everything, including viruses. But
okay,
beside that, this is the kind of thing that I could see answering stuff like that, because instead of it being one single, because normally, or in the past, I guess people would look to like billionaires to fund things, but then they always end up just funding something stupid that doesn't actually do anything because the money goes every which way. But this, I mean, there's still the possibility, and obviously this had a problem, but something like this, I think, could be that kind of answer to stuff like that, or more humanitarian things, because people can all just put their money in and then vote on it. Okay.
Yeah, the antibiotics example was a little weird, and I think the free market should be able to deal with that just fine. But I don't want to get into that, because you're right. This is, I mean, the first letter there is D, which stands for decentralized. So it is just a way for more people to put their money where they think it should be, and to know where it's going, and to actively participate in how their money is used and what they're trying to support and what they're trying to fund. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, these might be somewhat extremists, but a lot of people have been saying, like, the DAO is the solution to government, because we can opt in and we can build things, we can create things, and we can improve society
build roads
by opting in and things like that. So, I mean, and even then, I'm not sure we need cryptocurrency to, I mean, corporations do exist. They're not great, and they can cause problems, but it's already possible to kind of put your money where you want and invest in things to some extent. I guess this just makes it more transparent. You can see how the contracts are built and how your money is going to be governed by the smart contracts. It's just more transparent and more decentralized, which means anyone from anywhere can support and vote no matter what. So
it's also, there's way less overhead.
Also very true. Right. I agree with all that. I believe it's a good thing if it worked, and if it wasn't hacked. I believe there are tons of benefits, but I think I want to turn it over to John to see what he thinks about the actual hack itself, and to see if he can explain how it was done. I know you have some programming experience, so from that kind of perspective, John, what do you think about the actual hack here?
Yeah, something like there was a section of the code that basically allows people to like arbitrarily put their own code in there, and somebody was using that to basically siphon off little bits of money that was going through.
Yeah.
Until a bunch of it ended up in another account.
Yeah. So the key there is recursion. What about that, John? Can you explain just what recursion is with programming, and then I'll explain how they use that to do the actual hack?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when a method or a function calls itself.
Yeah.
So like every time it's called, it calls itself again. And it's kind of this endless feedback loop thing. Right.
Well, it's not necessarily endless. Normally,
you take care of that, but it has the potential to be endless.
Yeah, exactly. There's an if statement normally that only it only calls itself if this and this and this, and if all of that isn't true, then it doesn't call itself, and the cycle finally ends. But yeah, that's what recursion is, and backing up a little bit more, the whole idea of smart contracts and Ethereum and even Bitcoin, all of it is based on programming, okay? And I don't just mean Bitcoin Core is a computer program. I mean, it is, but I mean different than that. When you make a Bitcoin transaction, the transaction itself it's a string of letters and numbers that has programming behind it, or a certain kind of programming that says, send this money to this person, and that's encrypted, and that becomes the transaction, or it's hashed or whatever. I backed up a little too far. I dug myself into a hole where I got to explain a lot, but I guess I'll do it. And
climb back out, folks.
Here's the thing with Ethereum. The reason everyone thinks Ethereum is so cool and helpful, beneficial, and smart contracts and everything is because the programming language that's built behind that's behind Ethereum is way more flexible and way more powerful than the language behind Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, the language of the transactions pretty much only lets you send money from here to there, and the best you're going to get is multi-sig and a few other hacky, fancy things that people have come up with that you can build into this programming language. And you get multi-sig addresses that say only send this money at this, if this happens, and if 2 signatures sign, whatever, that can be built into the program. Or there's also, they've been talking about time locking with Bitcoin, where also as part of the programming language and as part of the encryption and as part of the transaction, you can say this money is locked until X time or whatever. Okay, but the point is Bitcoin's language is really simple. But Ethereum's programming language or transaction language, I don't know if that's a term, but I really like it. I hope it becomes a term because then I'll be able to say I coined it. But Ethereum's transaction language it's called Turing complete, which means anything that can be programmed or anything that a computer can do can be programmed with Ethereum's language. It's called Turing complete, which is based on that computer scientist Turing who came up, artificial intelligence, all kinds of stuff. Look up Turing if you want to. But the point is, Ethereum's language can do anything. That's why it can do smart contracts. That's why it can say only send money under a bazillion different conditions, and it can let people vote on where money goes. All kinds of stuff is possible with smart contracts. Okay, I'm sorry I'm going on a little bit, but I think it's... Well, let me pause and make sure with you guys. Am I making sense? Are you guys understanding how Ethereum's transaction language is just more powerful than Bitcoin's? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Let's call the episode, this is the one where Daniel coddles everybody.
Yes.
But thank you. It's needed.
Are you tired of Bitcoin dice and ready for something different? Try LuckyBit, the original falling coin game, at luckybit. It's the most exciting Bitcoin game on the web. You can bet on 5 different payout lines and win up to 999 times your bet. You can even use their faucet to get some free Bitcoin. Dice is boring. Play different at LuckyBit. Check it out at luckybit. Okay, now, moving on then to the DAO. Like I said, the DAO is a smart contract. It contains a bunch of programming. And one of the functions of the DAO is splitting. They call it splitting, which is pretty much just cashing out. Okay, so you buy into the DAO and you vote on a bunch of stuff. But eventually you're like, okay, I've made some money. I want to move to a different DAO. I don't know, whatever. I just want to cash out. So you make a transaction, you participate in the smart contract, and you say, in the programming language, you say, hey, this is me cashing out, here I go. Now, this is where I don't know all the details, but apparently, like John said, somewhere in the splitting function, in the cashing out function, it lets you run a part of your own code. It might be code. Again, this is another thing that you shouldn't quote me on, but it could be this could exist because you have to submit the code that actually sends you money. So if you're going to cash out, you need to be sent money, and maybe you have to submit the programming that sends you the money I'm not sure on that, but the point is you get to submit a little bit of your own code that gets executed as part of the split. Now, what the hacker did is he executed a split, and inside of his own code that he was able to submit, he executed another split. And so that split got called, and inside of that code, it executed another split, and that got called, and that's where the recursion comes in. So he kept calling splits that kept calling splits that kept calling splits that sent money to himself. And the trick here was for him to re-execute the split before it updated all of the variables and all of the balances. And it basically... Obviously, if you're executing a legitimate split, then at the end, the money's going to be moved, and it's going to say, okay, you no longer have money in the DAO, so you can't split again. That would happen at the end. But somewhere in the middle, before everything was updated in such a way to invalidate another split, before his balance in the DAO got set to 0, he ran another split. And before the balance for that one got set to 0, he ran another split. And before his balance for that one... Okay, yeah, you get it. It goes on and on. So he kept splitting recursively and infinitely. And that's it. That's the end of the hack. All the money in the DAO got sent to him because he was able to recursively split without invalidating the splits. They were all valid because they were called before his balance was set to 0. Okay. I think I pretty much covered it. I mean, there's more about the aftermath that we should get into, but I'll ask once more, does that make sense? And anything I was missing, anything I need to cover more, anything not make sense? Where am I at here? I talked for a long time right there.
I think you did good, Daniel.
Did I overdo it?
Yeah,
Did I repeat
it was
stuff
a
too much?
lot of money. No, I don't think so, but a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing which we should have
They
probably...
were breaking records.
Yeah.
I meant to bring that up because I read that like while one of you were talking, but they were like breaking records for how much money they were raising. I guess it's fundraising still. Never mind, I'm retarded. Yeah, fundraising stuff where they were breaking records for it, and that is, again, I found it in the same thing I was looking at where the guy was saying he had been having reservations about it, and he was saying it just seemed like too much money. I don't know if he was saying because it was asking for it. I mean, that's kind of what I would say is you're making it a pretty big target, and you're probably saying how much money's in there.
Not only that,
and also it just didn't need to be that much for not having tested it too much before.
Exactly.
He didn't feel like they had tested it enough.
That's what I was going to say. It's like it's the first iteration, really, of a DAO. I mean, I'm sure people have done little things before and tried similar things, but this is the first real distributed autonomous organization. And that's what I said. Okay, backing up to the Bitcoin news show that I did, a week ago, I think, before it was hacked. One of the questions we talked about was, is the DAO going to be the new Mt. Gox? Because even before the DAO was hacked, it had some similarities with Mt. Gox, where it was the biggest and it had way more money than it deserved, right? Mt. Gox was the first real Bitcoin exchange that had any weight behind it, but it had its flaws. Everyone knew that it wasn't as clear cut as it should have been, right? And so, do you guys see the similarities there, where a ton of money goes to Mt. Gox, even though it's the first one and there's not really any reason to trust it, and now a ton of money goes to the DAO, even though it's the first one and it probably has flaws, and why are we trusting it so much? And
I would say the Mt. Gox had more credibility because they'd at least been running for a little bit. I mean, they were a Magic Gathering trading card website before, but it wasn't like people threw all that money on them the first day. This was all in fundraising for this. Now, I mean, it's built off of something established, but still putting all that money on something where it's it seems like a little bit much. Like, I guess I agree with him too that it probably it just didn't require all that money right off the bat.
Yeah. But the thing is,
it was just didn't make sense.
Yeah,
but people got excited about it. I can see why.
They weren't asking for this much money. They weren't trying to raise this much money. It was just decentralized, so anyone can put money into it, and it's in there. So it's not like...
Well, we found out the problem. Bitcoin's bad. It's decentralization's the issue.
Yeah.
Fuck all this. We're done with the podcast. We're done. We're out.
I mean, decentralization was never supposed to be the answer to people screwing themselves over.
No, it solves the human issue, the human condition.
Yeah. It's kind of agnostic, right? It just decentralization is, we like
it's
it.
Neither God nor devil.
Yeah, it's not the DAO. You don't have to worship it. I don't know though. It's tough. Because I do like it. There are a lot of good things about it. I don't really see any problems with it, except stupid people. I don't know. Anyway, I want to continuing with the Mt. Gox thing a little bit. Obviously, in the show a week ago, we generally came to the conclusion that, well, it's not really a fair comparison. Mt. Gox was a Bitcoin exchange that was accepting, that had clear problems, and really anyone that got goxed kind of deserved it, which is pretty true. We said that a lot. And a lot of people said that because they were having trouble and nobody really should have had money in there when it went down. And that's still pretty true. It's not the fairest comparison because the DAO is not an exchange. It's really different, okay? But now that it has been hacked, the analogy does continue to a certain extent where, well, it generated all this hype like Mt. Gox kind of did, and then it just ruined a lot of people and a lot of money. So yeah, there are still some similarities there, but I could also see how it's not a perfect comparison. Anyway, guys, so what do you think? If there's another DAO, they actually kind of spotted this vulnerability before the hack happened, and they were working to fix it. And I think they even did submit some updates, and they thought they had it fixed. But obviously it wasn't. But anyway, let's say they do think they come out with new DAOs and they say it's really fixed and stuff. And let's say it's the 5th or the 6th iteration and they go pretty well. And let's say it really is pretty much fixed. Do you guys think you would invest? Do you see value in this kind of thing? Would you participate if you were pretty sure that the hack wasn't gonna happen again?
I mean, to me, it really just depends on what they're trying to do.
Right, but that's the thing, is you get to decide what they're trying to do, and you get returns on the investments.
Yeah, but the way I see this turning out is that there ends up being a bunch of these that are kind of known for different things.
Oh, yeah.
Because people are just going to congregate with other people like them at some point.
Yeah. That's actually one of the concepts of the DAO are child DAOs, okay? That's actually what happened when this hacker split and cashed out. He actually created a child DAO. And in fact, maybe that was part of the recursion. Maybe every recursion created a child DAO. I don't know if that's exactly right, but yeah, child DAOs are a thing. It's a DAO within a DAO. And I agree with you, John. I mean, that I could see different people splitting off and creating different DAOs within the DAO and working on different projects. There could be a crypto DAO that tries to develop cryptocurrency, or there could be a payment channels DAO that works on things like the Lightning Network and tries to speed up and make cryptocurrency more efficient. There could be a communications DAO that works on developing encrypted communication and encrypted chat things. I don't know. There could be all kinds of DAOs that just like you said, they focus on different things. They like different things. They'll probably even compete and stuff. But yeah, I definitely could see that happening.
Well, I also just mean if you're participating in this and you keep getting outvoted, like eventually you're just gonna leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
So I guess what I'm saying, at some point I feel like they're gonna get like pretty specialized. So I might invest in one of these, but I'm not gonna just like. I don't really see a reason to get involved in the big main one or whatever right now when I have no idea where it's gonna go.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah. Eventually, one will come.
It's just like too directionless, I guess, at this point for me to be.
Yeah.
I think it's an awesome idea, but like at this point, there's no reason that I feel.
Yeah.
To get involved.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Like, because you don't know what they're doing or what their purpose is, other than, I mean, yeah, they exist to kind of move money around and fund things, but what are they going to fund? Yeah, I agree. You don't really know, so why would I get involved? But yeah, maybe eventually there will be a music DAO that'll work on, the music blockchains and decentralized copyright ideas, stuff like that. And then, I don't know, maybe you'll be interested. All right, one more thing that we'll cover to wrap up is kind of the aftermath. There have been several proposals for how to deal with this. One of my favorites is a counterattack where, I mean, because like I was just talking about the child DAO that the hacker created, his money, there's like a 27-day waiting period before he can actually get his ether out. And right now it's sitting in the child DAO. And basically, there's a lot of technicalities that I couldn't quite get into, but basically there are people saying that they could execute the same attack on this child DAO and drain it of its funds. But yeah, so that's the possibility that they're talking about. But I want to talk about the time travel that I mentioned. And this came up, I forget what currency it was. There was some currency that got hacked or somebody stole a bunch of money. It wasn't Bitcoin. But there was talk of rolling back the blockchain. Just back it up to before the hack and everything's peachy. And they're talking about this here too. Well, why don't we just we'll submit a hard fork, we'll change the code of the Ethereum clients and make them just undo the damage. And there's an article by John McAfee, that is his first name, right, John? The libertarian, he's a libertarian.
Is it McAfee or McAfee?
I thought it was McAfee, but I could be wrong.
I think it's McAfee. I thought it was just, it's the dude with the antivirus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
McAfee. All right, I don't know. But anyway, he wrote an article. He was the libertarian too, and he's running for president. Or he was, he didn't get selected. But he was saying how rolling back the blockchain is as simple as adding a plus or a minus to the program, right? And that makes sense. I mean, you have an Ethereum client, and it's checking things based on the current time. Well, if you just change it to, well, yeah, they just subtract time or add time, and then it's all of a sudden it's analyzing the blockchain completely differently, and the miners work completely differently, and so it goes. Now, what do you guys think about that? And I was mentioning this before the show, but I didn't get any thoughts from you guys because I was saving it for now. But a lot of people have said that the blockchain with Bitcoin or with any cryptocurrency, but especially with Bitcoin, they say the blockchain is the first time that we've ever been able to get truth. I mean, it's internal truth. It's not like, it's like, obviously it's like, well, how do we know the blockchain exists? And we could get all philosophical stuff like that. But internally, the blockchain is accepted as truth, as decentralized truth, that you really can be certain that this money is with this address and this money is with this address. It is truth. It is certainty. I generally agree with that. and I want to know if you guys do too. But I also want to know then, if that is the only way, the best way that we can get truth, then is it true that rolling back the blockchain is like rolling back time? And I don't know, how does that affect any theories that there are about time travel? I don't even know where I want to take this. I just want to get some general thoughts about...
It's like they're actually changing the past.
I mean, yeah, they are, though. They are literally going back in time and literally changing the history of transactions, the history of truth.
I mean, I wouldn't say literally going back in time. They're literally changing past transactions, yeah.
Yes.
It's not literally, it's like virtually going back in time.
Okay, so I also agree with that, but then that means that you don't subscribe to the idea that the blockchain is the one truth, which I've heard people say before. What do you think about that? Let's back up to that. What do you think about the blockchain being truth?
I mean, I think I like what you were saying, that like it's internally true.
Okay.
But like, I mean, the one truth, I don't know. What if like somehow gravity gets messed up and then it doesn't work anymore? Like, I don't think you can say anything like that is like the one truth.
Yeah.
That was like a really dumb like thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if the laws of nature change or whatever, the way math changes, it wouldn't work anymore. There has to be something behind it. I mean, there is stuff behind it. So like, I don't know. I don't think you can say that it's like the one truth in the universe.
Okay. Yeah,
does that make sense?
It does make a little bit of sense, but I don't know. We're getting too far into theoretical stuff. I mean, the whole why would we ever talk about truth? We hate philosophy. But yeah, I kind of I kind of get what you mean. It's like, it's just, well, okay. You're saying that it's not quite the one truth because it could change, and people are suggesting that it change, right?
Yeah.
So this is another thing this is not quite related to the DAO, but it's something that I've wondered about for a while. And I've thought this when I've heard people say that the blockchain is a certain kind of truth. But yeah, I remember thinking that, well, hey, the blockchain is mutable. I mean, yes, there's all this power behind it, that trying to run it and keep it secure and trying to process blocks every 10 minutes and build blocks on top of blocks. That's what the blockchain is. It's blocks within blocks and all that stuff. Yes. But the truth is, the truth is that if the community wanted to, in a heartbeat, they could add that plus or minus. They could change everything. They could erase blocks. If everybody agreed, they could change anything that they want. So it's not. So yeah, you're actually right, John. I'm agreeing with you, even though I was initially making the point about how people say it's the truth. The truth is, I don't quite agree with that. I see what they're saying, and there's value there. But yeah, I've always had trouble with people who said that the blockchain is so definite and so sure. I don't know. This is such a hard thing to talk about. I feel like I'm going in circles here. But yeah, that's where I am. It's like, well,
I mean, I feel like it's. I'm trying to think of some kind of analogy to compare it to something. Like, I wanted to say, like, it's like people switching from paper and pencil to calculators, but it's not exactly that. That's the best thing I can come up with now, but you can put the wrong stuff into a calculator.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you could put the wrong numbers into a calculator and get the wrong answer, even though the calculator is capable of telling you the right answer if you use it correctly.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, I like this because a calculator, it's like also people could say that math is the one truth, and 5 plus 5 will always equal 10. There is some value there, and in the same way, it's kind of internal. Like, well, yeah, but that is true that 5 plus 5 will always equal 10, but that's just because that's how we define math. That's how we define 5. That's how we define 10. So it is kind of an internal truth, but it is always kind of definite too. It's always the same way. But yeah, just like you said, we can change those definitions, or we can change the way we use numbers. We can make accidents with numbers. So it's the truth in and of itself, but with respect to humans, well, we can kind of set it up however we want. Intentionally, we can change math, or unintentionally, we can change math. If we accidentally press the wrong numbers, or if we decide that 5 should actually be 15, which that's almost exactly what rolling back the blockchain would do. It's not about there is some time involved, but it's not quite just going back in time. It's really just redefining what everybody agrees on. All right, right now everybody agrees that 5 is how many fingers you have on your hand. Normal people anyway, most people. But if the community agreed, they could say, well, let's call that number 15. And let's say if you add 15 to it, then you get 10. So let's say that 15 plus 15 is 10. They could do that. I mean, it's an internal truth, and with respect to humans, we can change how we visualize or how we behave towards that truth. Am I making any sense at all? I feel like I'm going in circles. I feel like I'm saying yes is yes, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's just, I think, anytime you start taking... I mean, it has to do... I think I get what you mean, because it's... Even if... Maybe this is what you were saying. Even if 5... What were you saying before? 5 plus 5 is always going to equal 10, and somehow it changed... It's still dealing with people, and still dealing with people who we don't perfectly make sense. We don't go down to a formula normally. Is that what you're trying a little bit, or mine? I will say that, regardless if you're saying it or not, I will say that as part of something that, no matter what, because people are involved, nothing's going to solve that as long as people are directly involved.
I think I know what you're saying, that when there's people involved, then you get into definitions and interpretations and behaviors, and all of that can vary so much that, I mean, I intentionally used vague words there because humans are vague. They're abstract, and they can think all kinds of things, they can do all kinds of things, they can believe all kinds of things. They can, and so what you're saying is, when someone tries to decide what's true and what's not, oh gosh, now I feel like a relativist or something, or I don't know what the right word would be. But basically, what you're saying is that whenever people are involved, it's just there's going to be disagreements, and it's hard to agree on truth because people have all kinds of opinions about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now,
I think that makes sense.
I have one more question. Do you think it's possible that this event, this hack, and the conversation about rolling back the blockchain, do you think that proves that, in fact, the blockchain cannot be the one truth, or it cannot be, what's the word I'm looking for? I think
Altered?
Respected. No. Do you think that it's proof that it cannot be respected as truth because now we know that? I guess they haven't actually rolled back the blockchain, so there's no problems yet. But if they did, then that just nullifies the whole thing, which I guess is why a lot of people are so against rolling back the blockchain. But if they did that, that would nullify everything, because you're saying that this money is here. It's at this address, when in fact everyone knows that the money should be with the hacker. But instead you nullify one truth, and all of a sudden, just like I said, every block is built on top of previous blocks. That's the whole idea of a blockchain. So as soon as you nullify one transaction, every single thing beyond that is untrue, guaranteed. Now, is that possible? Do you think, is this proof that in fact the blockchain could never be truth because it's mutable? However unlikely it is to be changed, it still is mutable. Does that have any?
I mean, I think it's a tool. It's not. We can't look at it as something like it's still true that it's then in their account because it's just in their account. Like it's a little world they've created that they have complete control over.
I think
they don't have complete control, but you have the ability to control it,
manipulate it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have the ability to manipulate it. Like as if you want to be able to like take it back to at least try that.
Yeah, it's just like we said. It's an internal truth. So if we rolled back the blockchain, and then 10 years later, you could still look at the entire blockchain, and it would follow one transaction to the next to the next. All of it would be logical. All of it would be true within the blockchain. But within reality, we know that money actually went there, right? So it's an internal truth that we can change. I guess the reason, even though it's mutable, the reason we still lend credence to blockchains is because they're hard to change. Not impossible, but if they were to change, it would be because a lot of people want it to change. They think it should change. And so, you're going to give... They're only going to change if people see value to changing the truth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a good way of saying this is that you could say that it's perfectly consistent, but that's not the same thing as truth.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the thing with computers in general. Computers are dumb. They can't tell you no, first of all, and they do what you tell them to do.
Yeah, they're internally consistent every single time. If you tell it, and in fact, it's like we were just saying with the calculator, 5 plus 5 will always be 10 on a calculator unless a human goes in and changes it. So it's an internal truth. 5 plus 5, yes, that is the truth. It will always be the truth on a given calculator unless someone goes in and changes that internal truth because they have power over calculators. Wow. This was fun. I mean, there's a lot of abstraction in there, so and we did kind of go in circles here and there. But I like that conclusion. I think we did kind of end up somewhere decent. It's an internal truth, and such definite things do have value. Math has a ton of value. Obviously, everything has math. I'm not even going to give examples because it's literally everything has math in and around it. But the way humans behave towards math or the way humans interpret math could change anytime. And same thing with the blockchain. A blockchain, incredible value, incredible certainty, incredible logic, but we can change the rules anytime we want. All right, I like this. We're over an hour now. I guess, I don't know, if I edit a minute or two out, it might trim down. But, all right, guys, we got to wrap up soon. What is the advice of the day? This could be fun because we talked about a lot of crazy stuff today. I don't know, anything?
I would say that all of you should remember that you're always smarter than your calculator, but I don't know you guys personally, so I can't do that.
Yeah, that's, if you're comparing humans to calculators, I mean, humans are not internally consistent, not even remotely. Every single person believes and behaves inconsistently. And yet, humans are also very, very hard to change, right? I could change a computer by pressing a button. Or I do. I move the mouse and the computer changes. Or if I write a program that says 5 plus 5 is going to be 15, I could write a program that's going to accept the input 5 plus 5 and give you the output 15. I could do that. But humans, I mean, yeah, sometimes people change their minds and their beliefs, but they are way harder to change than
they are
computers.
Right now, yeah. But there's like a lot of stuff now. Maybe this is my advice: don't let people grab you, because now they're starting to be able to like press like certain parts of your brain and just. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's even they've been doing it for a while, where they can manipulate certain parts of the brain and get a response in the brain, but eventually get it to the point where we're just going to be having chips in our brain that just stimulate whatever part of the brain we want at that point. Like, if you want to focus more, you stimulate that part. So, I mean, we're kind of similar to computers, but they don't have that all-important art, like the self-sentient. They don't have the sentience yet, so we're still alive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I haven't read every article about that, but yeah, I know science is always working
Daniel.
on.
I'll be just as smart as you are. I mean, wait, I already am.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure they are working on stuff like that, and so yeah, I guess don't let people grab you.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tim's advice: don't let people grab.
Don't let people grab you and manipulate your mind.
Don't get grabbed.
Don't get grabbed.
I was going to make one more point, and sure, I guess I'll make this my advice or just my point of the day, that I think there's a connection with liberty there. With when you realize that humans are inconsistent but also very hard to change, I think that's one of the ideas behind liberty, because we are who we are. Everyone is different. Everyone has different beliefs. And, you could talk about morality and how people have different beliefs about what's right and wrong. And it's incredibly hard to change someone's beliefs or their behaviors. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that we think we should leave each other alone, because we know that it doesn't make sense. We know that there are inconsistencies, but I have inconsistencies too, and I don't want you to lock me in a cage because I behave a certain way or because I believe a certain thing. It has to do with individuality. Everyone is different, and it's just we can't deal with it. We can't just, we can put out propaganda and try to get people to behave like sheep and do what we want, but we're not going to succeed, and it's not going to be beneficial to anyone, because humans are incredibly different and incredibly hard to change. And I think that's one of the ideas behind liberty. I don't know if you guys agree, but that's my point of the day.
You are all special snowflakes, and don't anyone let anybody ever tell you different.
Hey, I didn't say different. I didn't say good. I just said different and hard to change, which means stubborn and stupid.
I don't think. Yeah, I think we need to get on the propaganda a little bit more. Try to start getting money out of that, but whatever.
No, we don't need propaganda because we're already the best, and it's so obvious. So we don't need propaganda to tell people that.
You don't need us to tell you how great you are.
No, how great we are.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, John, I want to know what your advice is. What you got for us?
I don't know. I'm just thinking about how sometimes I just would rather there be World War III and then we go back to farming. So yeah. Maybe just forget about the blockchain and start making stuff out of wood or something. I don't know, become a craftsman or something again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shut down the system.
Become the Unabomber, that's what. He knew what was going on. He had a point.
It's been so edgy, so many years ago.
Grow your own block potatoes and corn chain. I don't
Just
know.
like irradiating your garden.
All right. Well, I don't know what I think about this episode. It was fun, but it was tough to get stuff across. So I don't know. Let us know, guys, what you thought of it. Let us know if I made any sense at all, and if this conversation made any sense at all. It is true that we're not all, we're on the radio. We have pleasant voices and all that, but we don't always make the most sense. So let us know what made sense, what didn't. Head to youmeandbtc.com, look for episode 128, and leave us a comment. Or if you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. If you're listening on lrn.fm, you go to our website, youmeandbtc.com. That's where you should go from there. Check out fund.lrn.fm to fund the radio network and get a chance, I guess. If you donate enough, you can sit in on a show with us if you like. And head to ymb.tc/garb to check out our t-shirts. Thanks for being with us. Tweet us at YouMeAndBTC. All of the music in today's show, during the intro, during the commercial, the music you're hearing right now was from John Stuart. John, take a bow for us. Thanks a lot for that. We'll see everyone next Thursday, I guess. Peace, guys.
Goodbye, everybody.